President Trump rolled out the red carpet to welcome Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman at the White House today. The greeting was more elaborate than most foreign visitors receive, signaling the administration's aims to lock in major business and national security deals. The two leaders held a bilateral meeting to discuss some of those ambitions moving forward ahead of a formal dinner planned for later tonight.
Saudi is going to be investing at least $600 billion, and that means investments in plants, in companies, money on Wall Street, and what it really means for everybody that really counts is jobs, a lot of jobs.
CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro joins us now from our Washington bureau. Aaron, what is the White House hoping to gain from the Crown Prince's visit?
An increase of the deal, it seems, as President Trump mentioned that $600 billion agreement when it comes to Saudi investments in the United States. Both he and the Saudi Crown Prince said that will be increased to $1 billion. How could it get there? A senior administration official said they expect that deal to include a multi-billion-dollar investment in U.S. AI infrastructure, the continued involvement of U.S. companies and data centers based in Saudi Arabia. President Trump said they're also working on an agreement for the U.S. to sell advanced AI chips to Saudi Arabia. And another big part of this is defense sales. The F-35 jets that President Trump talked about yesterday, said again today, will be sold to Saudi Arabia. Administration officials have been touting how that will create jobs in the manufacturing of those jets inside the U.S. President Trump added that those jets are, quote, pretty similar to the ones that the U.S. sells to Israel. That's a country that has expressed concern about Saudi Arabia getting this aircraft, though President Trump claimed that they would, quote, be happy about this sale.
Are there any national security concerns presented by some critics as to all of these dealings? Yeah,
the concern is particularly with these jets that potentially, because of Saudi Arabia's continued ties with China, that could be complicating getting this U.S. security aircraft and having it in the hands of Saudi Arabia. But this administration is continuing to go forth with that sale.
This is the first White House visit by a Saudi leader since the murder of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi by Saudi agents. Bin Salman has denied any role in the murder. How was this addressed today?
A journalist pressed both leaders on the killing of Khashoggi, a Washington Post columnist that was killed in that Saudi consulate in Turkey in 2018. And President Trump made some striking comments saying that the Crown Prince, quote, knew nothing about his murder. The president also added, quote, a lot of people didn't like that gentleman, referring to Khashoggi, that you're talking about, and said, quote, whether you like him or didn't like him, things happen. A reminder, a U.S. intelligence report in 2021 said that the Crown Prince was implicated in the approval of the killing of Khashoggi. In 2018, during President Trump's first term, the CIA also concluded that MBS ordered the killing of that journalist. And during today's Oval Office appearance, President Trump went to criticize the reporter that asked about it and said it was, quote, embarrassing to the Crown Prince, the fact that she asked about it. The Crown Prince said it's, quote, really painful to hear about anyone losing their life, but defended the investigation his country did on the killing of Khashoggi and said they did, quote, all the right steps.
We're used to hearing the president be combative with reporters, but today was considerably more striking. Aaron Navarro, thank you. For more on this, I want to bring in senior fellow at the Middle East Institute, Iulia Joja. Thank you so much for being here, Iulia.
Thanks for having me, Lindsay.
So President Trump has pushed for Saudi Arabia to sign the Abraham Accords and normalize ties with Israel. Was there any movement on that front today?
Not officially. We've seen the de facto leader, the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman, saying that he is interested, that Saudi Arabia is committed to a path towards signing the Abraham Accords, which we know since the first Trump administration is an ultimate priority of Trump, whether first or second administration. Already then, until 2020, Saudi had very clearly stated, including under the leadership of MBS, that this is conditioned, that them entering the Abraham Accords and so normalizing ties to Israel is conditioned by a two-state solution and lasting peace in the Middle East. And so now the add-on that we've seen from the Saudi representative today in the White House has been that, again, they're committed to this path, but that an immediate immediate signature, an immediate buy-in is not in the cards as long as we do not have a two-state solution or a viable path toward that two-state solution. And that probably is conditioned by the further implementation of the 20 points ceasefire plan that is now taking place in the Middle East.
How has the U.S. perception of Saudi Arabia's human rights violations changed under the Trump presidencies?
Well, there's some nuances to it. If you check the State Department's website, the State Department will confirm that Saudi Arabia has not made significant progress in what is known as not exactly a stellar account when it comes to, or stellar performance when it comes to human rights. That's on the one hand at the State Department level. On the other hand, I recall Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in preparation of President Trump's first large planned visit abroad, the one to the Gulf countries, including Saudi, in which he stated that when it comes to the Middle East, as well as other places beyond, other regions beyond the Middle East, the United States priorities when it comes to foreign and security policy are stability, security, and prosperity. So no mention of human rights or the prioritization of that and progress when it comes to democratization. This fits into a larger debate that we're having here in Washington within the administration, outside of the administration, the think tank environment, what role human rights and the path towards democracy play in our national foreign policy, whether it comes to the Middle East or beyond. But as we can see from this visit today of MBS at the White House, human rights have not played a central role.
All right, Iulia Joja, thank you so much.